She had one mission: take him down. But then, he looked at her son, and something happened she didn't see coming. Lana Merrick didn't believe in revenge. Not in the way people wrote about it. Not with flames and fury. She believed in precision, in silence, in letting powerful men destroy themselves. All she had to do was hand them the match. That's why she was hired. That's why she always got results. That's why she was now standing in the mirrored elevator of Creed Technologies, a smile in place, a fake resume in her bag, and a soft security badge clipped to her silk blouse, as if this was just another consulting job. She wasn't here to advise. She was here to ruin. It had started 3 months earlier, when a firm in London quietly approached her through her old handler. They wanted her to infiltrate Creed's empire, pose as a strategic efficiency analyst, and locate 3 key weaknesses: undisclosed offshore accounts, internal whistleblowers, licensing contracts with shaky legal ground. Lana didn't ask questions, because she already had her own answer. Logan Creed had been on her radar for 5 years. The man who bankrolled a hostile takeover that gutted her sister's biotech company, right before her sister's diagnosis, right before she died. That was the moment Lana stopped playing defense. She didn't care that he was brilliant, or that Forbes called him the quiet tycoon, or that his charity portfolio included pediatric cancer grants and environmental tech startups. To her, he was just another polished predator who smiled for the boardroom and bled people dry behind closed doors. And now she had a chance to watch him fall. She stepped onto the executive floor like she belonged. Cream pencil skirt, pale rose blouse, dark red nails. Not sexy, not quite, but deliberate. The kind of look that said, I know how to vanish into the background while hearing everything. His assistant, Dana, didn't blink, just scanned her in, gave her a welcome folder, and pointed toward the inner corridor. Mr. Creed will see you shortly, she said. Lana nodded, but she didn't sit. Instead, she walked slowly to the floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked the city, all glass and money and altitude. And then she saw him, Logan Creed, through the office glass. Tall, broad-shouldered, rolled sleeves, no tie. His back to her as he stared down at a tablet, one hand on his jaw. Nothing about him looked theatrical, just still, until he turned. Their eyes met. No handshake, no smile, just a quiet appraisal that lasted half a second too long. Then he said, You're late. She wasn't. He knew it. I'm Lana Merrick, efficiency consultant, she replied, holding his gaze. Interesting timing, he murmured. Let's see if you're efficient at getting to the truth. She smiled. Neutral, professional, but inside, something cold curled around her ribs. Because the only truth in this room was that she wasn't here to help him. She was here to bury him. But what she didn't know, not yet, was that Logan Creed had buried things too, including someone that would change the entire game. Lana didn't flinch easily. She'd sat across from oil barons in Riyadh and watched them lie through gold teeth. She'd listened to politicians confess things she still couldn't unhear. She'd looked at grieving wives and known, deep down, their husbands wouldn't come back for what she was building. So when Logan Creed said, Let's see if you're efficient at getting to the truth, she filed it under arrogance. Not intuition, because no one ever saw her coming. By noon, she had 3 meetings scheduled, 2 systems logins, and a desk in a corner of the executive floor with a view of the Boston skyline. Creed Technologies was colder than she expected. Not emotionally, physically. Everything was glass, slate, and silence. Like the building itself was designed to keep feelings outside. She learned fast. Logan didn't raise his voice, didn't waste words, didn't tolerate redundancy. But he watched, constantly, quietly, like everything that moved had a code, and if he stared long enough, he'd break it. She was careful. Her cover was solid. The firm who hired her had prepped every detail. LinkedIn scrubbed, work history falsified, even a personal website built with fake testimonials. Her alias? Efficiency expert from a boutique Toronto firm. Her objective? Infiltrate, observe, isolate 3 critical weak points, and hand them off to the client. No one ever used real names. Lana didn't care, because she had her own list, and Logan Creed's name was at the top. But then came the moment that made her hesitate. Not professionally, personally. It happened 2 days in, late afternoon. Most of the staff had gone home. The office lights had dimmed to energy-saving mode, casting long shadows over the floor. Lana stayed late to review logistics reports. Technically unnecessary, but she'd overheard Dana mention that Creed often worked past 7. She needed proximity, observation, and that's when she heard it. Not a voice, a laugh, a child's laugh. She blinked, confused, then stood. Across the hall, inside Creed's glass office, a boy, no older than 4. Dark hair, light sweater, perched on the edge of a leather chair, legs swinging, giggling as Logan crouched in front of him with a small robot on the table. Logan made the bot wiggle. The boy squealed. "You forgot his rocket pack," the boy said. Logan smiled. "Not the cold boardroom version. A real one. A father's one." "I didn't forget," he said. "You just weren't watching closely." Lana backed away from the window. Her pulse shifted. She wasn't supposed to feel anything here. But there was something in the way Logan looked at the child, gentle, attentive, soft, that didn't match the file she'd been given. No scandals, no known custody battles, no mention of children at all. Who was the boy? His nephew? A friend's kid? Or? Lana pressed a palm to her stomach, because for the first time since arriving, she felt something dangerous. Curiosity. And in her line of work, curiosity was the first crack. Lana didn't sleep that night. Not because of guilt, not because of fear, because of that smile, the one she wasn't supposed to see. It hadn't been a smirk or a grin or the cold, rehearsed charm she expected from Logan Creed. It was the kind of smile that appeared when no one was watching. Quiet, natural, human, and it ruined everything she thought she knew about him. She had stood frozen just beyond the hallway glass, watching him kneel on one knee beside the boy, his son, his nephew, a stranger's child, and wiggle a tiny robot across the glass table. The boy had squealed, laughed, wiggled in the leather chair with delight. Lana wasn't supposed to be watching. She wasn't supposed to feel anything. And yet, something inside her shifted. Not dramatically, not enough to cause panic, just enough to haunt her through the silence of her apartment as Boston slept and the glow of her tablet cast shadows on her living room wall. She stared at her encrypted message window for 2 full hours and sent nothing. The next morning, she dressed slower than usual, pressed her gray blouse 3 times, changed skirts twice, settled on a sharp navy pencil skirt and a pearl earring that used to belong to her mother. Not because she was dressing for him, but because suddenly she cared how she looked when she walked past his office. That terrified her. "Coffee, Miss Merrick?" the intern at reception asked, holding out a paper cup with her preferred order already printed. She blinked. "I didn't request this. Mr. Creed mentioned you don't take cream." Her pulse flickered. "Thanks," she said, voice neutral. She took the coffee, but didn't drink it. She walked straight to her desk, sat down, and opened a blank note file. She typed one sentence. "He doesn't look like a man with a child." Then she deleted it. By early afternoon, her assignment officially progressed. She'd been asked to join a confidential logistics review, with only 5 people present. Logan, Dana, 2 directors, and her. He didn't look at her often, but when he did, it wasn't suspicious. It was curious. After the meeting, she lingered near the executive kitchen, pretending to refill her water bottle. Not stalking, not loitering. She told herself she was listening. That's all. That's when she heard again. Laughter. High. Clear. The boy. Lana's chest tightened before she moved. Carefully, quietly, she walked to the hallway window just outside Logan's office. This time, the boy was dancing on the office rug, bare feet spinning, arms wide like an airplane. The robot was on the table again, blinking softly. Logan was seated on the couch, one leg crossed over the other, holding a tablet. Not working, just watching the boy, occasionally smiling. But they weren't alone. A woman stood by the desk. Platinum blonde, model thin, wearing a designer dress that looked more like she was headed to a cocktail party than a parenting appointment. Her makeup was perfect. Her body language, not maternal. She rolled her eyes when the boy tripped and fell. Not worried, just annoyed. Lana's gaze narrowed. The mother? The boy ran to Logan, who helped him up without hesitation. She didn't move, didn't offer a hand, just sipped her iced drink. Then she said something Lana couldn't hear and left without even glancing at the boy. He didn't look after her, not longingly, not regretfully, just calmly, like a man used to disappointment. Lana stepped back, heart racing. She didn't want to care, didn't want to wonder about who that woman was, didn't want to feel protective of a child she didn't know. But she did. And when Logan looked up again, across the glass, straight into her eyes, she flinched. He didn't. He just stared, not startled, not smug, just still. And then he nodded, a small one, like he knew she'd be watching, like he wanted her to see. That night, she poured herself a glass of wine and sat at her desk in silence. The encryption window blinked at her. The file requests waited. She opened the secure portal. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, but they didn't move, because she wasn't ready to betray a man who held a child like that. The sun hit different through Creed Tower's 38th floor windows. Brighter, higher, like the light up here didn't belong to the same city. Everything was polished glass and engineered serenity, right down to the curated silence between footsteps. Lana had been inside 100 executive buildings. None of them had felt like this. None of them had made her feel watched when she wasn't being watched. None of them had a child. She told herself it was just a detail, a wild card. But at her line of work, wild cards got people killed, or worse, noticed. So the next morning, she came armed. Tighter hair, flatter heels, a steel gray shift dress that offered nothing warm, nothing soft. She'd even darkened her lipstick, not to impress, but to remind herself who she was. Not a mother, not a teacher, not someone who played with robots and whispered bedtime stories between business calls. She was here for one thing, the fall of Logan Creed. And yet, the universe had a different plan. It started with a meeting, small, routine, just 4 people. Lana, the junior director and analytics intern, and the boy. Miles, someone said. The child had a name. He'd wandered in mid-call, a small stuffed astronaut in hand, and climbed wordlessly into the leather chair beside Logan like he owned it. No one blinked. Lana watched as Logan pulled out a stylus and handed the boy a blank tablet page. No lecture, no braille, just quiet trust. Within seconds, Miles was sketching rockets, spheres, scribbles that looked like solar systems. Lana's voice faltered once, just for a breath, and Logan glanced over. He didn't smile, but his eyes said it all. You weren't expecting him here, were you? She looked away. The real damage came 2 hours later. She was reviewing design specs in the innovation wing when she heard the crash. Not glass, plastic, a toy maybe? She turned the corner, and there he was, Miles, alone in the hallway, standing next to an overturned model prototype, some kind of tech toy with wheels and a blinking interface. His lip was quivering. His eyes were too wide. I didn't mean to, he whispered. No one else was there. No staff. No Logan. Just her. Lana froze. This wasn't her role. This wasn't the mission. This wasn't the protocol. But her feet moved anyway. She crouched down, heels clicking softly, and picked up the broken part. No big deal, she said gently. Looks like it just popped off. His eyes searched hers, nervous. Are you one of the nice ones? He asked. The words hit her chest like a thud. She didn't answer right away. Then she nodded. Yeah, I think I am today. Miles didn't smile, but he didn't cry either. She helped him fix it, or at least balance the pieces so it looked whole again. He stood very still beside her, watching her hands. When she looked up, he whispered, Your hair looks like my mom's. Lana froze. Her pulse skipped. She didn't know what to say. A name formed on her tongue. Who is your mom? But she swallowed it. And then came the voice. Low, controlled. Miles. Logan. He stood at the end of the hallway, sleeves rolled, expression unreadable. Miles turned, a little guilty. I didn't break it on purpose. I know, Logan said, already walking toward him. But you're not supposed to be in R&D. Then his gaze shifted to Lana and didn't move. I got here fast, she said softly. He didn't reply, just studied her. The crouch, the boy, the closeness. Thank you, he said finally, for staying with him. Lana stood, brushing off invisible dust. Of course, she said. Anyone would have. But they both knew that wasn't true. That night, she poured a second glass of wine, opened her laptop, stared at the secure file folder waiting to be uploaded. There were things she could send now. Early red flags, small cracks, a few misplaced financials from an older quarter. But she didn't touch them. Instead, she opened a blank document and wrote one line. He has something he shouldn't. She didn't mean the company. She meant the boy, and the way he looked at her like maybe, just maybe, she was one of the nice ones. She avoided him for 2 full days. Meetings were missed. Emails were responded to by team. One morning, she claimed a fever. Another, a scheduling conflict. No one questioned her. No one chased her down. Except him. Not directly, but his absence made more noise than any confrontation. Because Logan Creed wasn't the kind of man to ask where you went. He was the kind to leave a folder on your desk with a sticky note that read, "You said you wanted internal performance data. So here it is. Unless you've changed your mind. No initials, no signature. Just handwriting that was somehow neater than expected. Slightly slanted. Economical." She stared at that note for 3 minutes before opening the folder. And when she did, she cursed. Because it was everything. Every metric she'd been trying to piece together. Clean, unfiltered, full access. The kind of transparency she never got this early in an assignment. It was either a trap, or a test, or worse, trust. And that made her furious. The next morning, she walked into his office without knocking. Dana startled, but didn't stop her. She just looked up from her screen, blinked once, and muttered, "He's free." He was standing by the window, back to the door, sleeves rolled like always, navy shirt unbuttoned just below the collar. Logan Creed never looked like a man who needed anyone. That made her voice sharper than it needed to be. "You gave me everything." He didn't turn. "You asked for it." No one gives that kind of access in week 2. Still calm. Still turn away. Dull. When I want someone to see, I'm not hiding anything. Lana stepped closer. "Is that what this is? A performance?" He finally looked over his shoulder. "Only if you're pretending not to be curious." Her jaw clenched. "I'm here to work. You're here to dismantle inefficiency," he corrected. "And inefficiency happens when people don't trust each other. That's not your problem. That's mine." "And yet," he said, turning fully, "you're standing in my office, in the middle of your lunch break, holding a folder like it personally offended you." She blinked. Because it had. Because she didn't know what to do with generosity from a man she was supposed to tear down. "I don't trust easily," she said flatly. "Neither do I." Their eyes locked. The silence that followed wasn't loud. It was thick, tangible, the kind of pause that fills doorways in hotel lobbies. The kind that smells like heat and danger and things that can't be undone. Then he stepped toward her. Not close, but closer than anyone else in the company ever did. "Is it just the job you don't trust me with?" he asked. She didn't breathe, didn't blink. "You have a son," she whispered. The words slipped out before she meant to say them. He didn't flinch. "Ido. You never talk about him." "I don't need to. He's not a press release." She looked away. "I wasn't expecting that." He took another step forward. "What were you expecting?" "I don't know. An empire builder. A polished shark. A man who'd throw bodies at the bottom line." He nodded slowly. "I used to be all of that." That stunned her. He saw it. "That was before I had a reason not to be," he said. There was again the crack. The softness she wasn't ready for. And for the first time in 14 days, Lana Merrick forgot how to lie to herself. She dropped the folder onto his desk. "I'll get back to you tomorrow," she said, and left. But not fast enough. Because just before she reached the door, she heard his voice again. "Lower now. Rougher. You ever need someone to talk to, Merrick?" Pause. "You don't have to knock." That night, she didn't send anything. No files. No flag behavior. Just one sentence in her private document log. "He's not what they said, and I don't know what that means yet." She closed her laptop and wondered, for the first time, who the enemy really was. Lana didn't grow up with boardrooms. She grew up with rationed heat and locked cabinets. A mother who cleaned offices after midnight, and a brother who thought startups were just scam emails from prison friends. She was the first Merrick to graduate college. The only one who left the county line. But she never left the shadow of debt, of sacrifice, of choices made in the dark. praying no one would flip the switch. So when the offer came, a private job, disguised as a contract, carrying 7 zeros and 0 questions, she didn't hesitate. Because it wasn't just about Cree Technologies. It was about her father. 5 years earlier, his pension fund collapsed. A tech deal gone wrong. An emerging partner pulled out. No charges were filed. No name ever made the paper. But Lana knew. She'd found the paperwork late one night, buried in a Department of Labor audit request, one of the shell companies involved, tied back to a firm once quietly absorbed by Logan Creed. It was buried 3 layers deep, but it was there. And even if he hadn't done it directly, he'd let happen. People like him always did. So when the firm offered her away in a contract to quietly flag his vulnerabilities, she said yes. She said yes before she asked why. But now she'd watched him kneel beside a child and fix a broken robot. Now she'd heard the weight in his voice when he said, "That was before I had a reason not to be." Now she'd seen the man behind the press kit, and she didn't know what was real anymore. On the morning of the company's third quarter review, Lana was quiet. Too quiet. She sat through a 40-minute meeting without a single note. She skipped the post-call debrief. She didn't even respond when Dana handed her a folder marked confidential, founder review. She just stared out the glass wall behind her desk, watching the clouds pull long shadows over the harbor. At 2:12 p.m., a message pinged her secure line. From Shield Ops. Subject, mission status. We need the first deliverable. Strategic flaw. Code access. Or top-level personal leverage. Clock's ticking. Lana didn't answer, because she already knew what they wanted, and she knew what they didn't. They didn't care that Logan showed up to work early just to walk his son to the daycare on floor 8. They didn't care that he held the elevator for interns or brought black coffee to the overnight coding team when no one asked him to. They didn't care that sometimes he looked at her like maybe he remembered who he used to be. They wanted his fall, not his truth. She tried to shake it. She stayed late that night, pretending to organize personnel files. At 7:42 p.m., she heard the soft, unmistakable clink of glass. A whiskey bottle. 1 glass. 2 pours. She followed the sound down the corridor. Logan was standing in the corner office, blazer off, sleeves up, shadows across his face like an unfinished portrait. He didn't turn when she entered. "I figured you'd come," he said quietly. "Why?" He held out the second glass. "Because liars don't usually stay late." Lana took the glass. Didn't drink. "Did you know," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "that one of your acquisitions helped bankrupt a pension fund?" He didn't move. "I've read the audits," she added. "I followed the holding companies. One led to another, then another, and somewhere in that web, my name appeared," he finished. A pause. "Not as a signature," she said, "but close enough." Logan looked out the window. "I know," he said. "That caught her." "You know, I found out last year," he said. "By then it was buried. No one was taking responsibility. I tried to reverse the damage, but it was too late. The company was gone. So was the fund." Lana's throat tightened. "You never said anything. I didn't think anyone still cared." "I cared." He turned, and for the first time his voice cracked. "I'm sorry." It wasn't performative. It wasn't defensive. It was low, quiet, devastating. Lana didn't speak, because if she did, she'd confess everything. And she wasn't ready for that yet. That night, she updated her file. He didn't cause the collapse, but he carries the wreckage. She closed the screen, but not the door she'd opened, because now, she wasn't on assignment anymore. She was standing in the rubble of something she thought was revenge, and realizing it was actually grief. The lie didn't shatter all at once. It cracked in stages. First, a missing file, then a name he didn't recognize in a server log, then a camera angle. It was 9:17 p.m. The office was quiet, lights dimmed, most of the staff long gone. Only security remained, and Logan Creed, seated at his desk, rewatching something he wasn't supposed to see twice. Surveillance footage, pulled not from his executive floor, but from the R&D hallway 2 weeks earlier. There she was, Lana, crouched beside Miles, comforting him, repairing the prototype. And the camera caught it, not just her hands, not just her face, but her badge. Tilted, visible. Only, it wasn't the standard company ID. It was a security-cleared guest access card. Different number, different clearance. And next to it, the moment Miles spoke her name, Lana Merrick. Logan's brows knit. He rewound the footage again, rewatched how she froze, how her hands trembled for just a second before calming the boy. And that's when he knew she wasn't just a consultant. The next morning, she woke to silence. No morning email, no folder on her desk, no coffee order waiting by reception. Something in the air had changed. Not cold, just still. The kind of stillness that follows a storm no one saw coming. At 3:04 p.m., Dana stepped into her office. "Logan wants to see you." Lana hesitated. "Did he say why?" Dana shook her head. "Only that it's urgent." Lana nodded, straightened her collar, and walked down the hall like she wasn't walking toward the edge of a cliff. His office was darker than usual, blinds drawn, city lights pulsing faint through the windows. Logan stood near the glass, hands folded behind his back. He didn't turn, shut the door. She did. Then silence, long crushing, until, "Who sent you?" Lana didn't blink, but she felt it in her spine, in her pulse, in the quiet of the room. He knew. "Excuse me," she said. Logan turned, and in his hand, the badge. The camera still paused behind him, a frozen frame. Her crouched beside his son. "You should have destroyed the footage," he said. Lana didn't answer, because there was nothing left to lie about. "Was it Glazer?" he asked. Her throat tightened. "Or Helix. Maybe Phoenix Strategic. Someone bought you." "No one bought me." "Then what?" he snapped. "What do they have on you?" The room went still again, and Lana broke. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a quiet breath. "They didn't have anything on me," she said. "I volunteered." Logan stared at her. "You what?" "I took the job. I came here to expose you. Because 5 years ago, one of your holdings helped destroy my father's pension. He died broke, sick, alone. I blamed you. A beat. I still do," she whispered. "But I didn't touch that fund. I know that now." He stepped forward, hurt etched across his face. So this was revenge. It was supposed to be. He didn't speak, just looked at her like someone trying to understand a foreign language made of betrayal. "But it stopped being revenge," she added, "when I met Miles. That made him flinch. You used my son." "No," she said, voice shaking. "He saved me. He made me see the part of you I wasn't supposed to see." Logan swallowed hard, and then he turned away. "Get out," he said. Her chest collapsed. "Logan, before I say something I can't take back." She hesitated, wanted to reach for him, but didn't, because some damage doesn't make a sound. It just bleeds. She walked out and didn't look back. 3 days passed. No messages, no summons, no one knocking on her office door. Logan didn't fire her. He didn't even acknowledge her. He just made her invisible. And somehow that hurt more, because silence from a man like Logan Creed wasn't apathy. It was war. Lana tried to keep busy. She buried herself in reports, double-checked vendor pipelines, spent a full hour reviewing launch strategy, notes no one had asked for. Anything to avoid thinking about the look in his eyes when she said, "I volunteered." Her secure channel blinked only once. A message from S.H.I.E.L.D. OPS. Package incomplete. Deliverables required. Final warning. She didn't open it. She didn't even move. Because the damage was done. Not to the mission. To herself. To the boy. To the moment that slipped from her fingers like glass when she chose truth too late. Then came a knock. Soft. Hesitant. She looked up from her desk, expecting Dana. Or HR. Or security with a clipboard and an NDA. But it wasn't any of them. It was Miles. Small. Shoulders tucked. Holding something in both hands like it might break if he breathed too hard. She stood quickly. "Miles, sweetheart. What are you doing here?" He didn't speak. Just stepped into her office, eyes wide. Then, slowly, he held out a folded piece of paper. She crouched down, heart in her throat. "What's this?" He didn't answer right away. Then, "It's for you." She opened it. Crayon. Messy handwriting. A drawing. 2 stick figures. One tall with spiky hair. One with a ponytail. And a little robot between them. At the bottom, in shaky block letters, "I like when you smile." Lana's heart cracked. "Miles, I heard Daddy tell Aunt Dana you were gone." His lip trembled. "I don't want you to be gone." She closed her eyes. breathed slowly. He's not mad at you, Miles whispered. He's mad because he liked you. And then he didn't know if he was supposed to. She couldn't speak. Not right away. He stepped forward, pressed something into her palm. A tiny plastic figure. The same robot he'd brought into the office that first day. Can you come back? He asked. I don't know if I can, but I want you to. That did it. The tears rose, not hot, not dramatic, just there, quiet at the corners of her eyes. I want that too, she whispered. They stood like that for a moment. Woman and boy. Wounds unspoken. Forgiveness freely given. Then came a second knock. This time it was Logan. He stepped into the doorway. Stopped when he saw them. Miles turned. I gave her the picture. Logan's jaw tightened. He nodded once. Why don't you go wait by Dana's desk, buddy? Miles obeyed, leaving the robot behind. The door clicked shut. Silence. Then Logan spoke. You didn't have to answer him. I didn't do it for you. Good, he said. Because I'm not ready to forgive you. She nodded. I wouldn't ask you to. Another pause. But I am ready to talk, he added quietly. That made her look up. And just for a second, she saw it. The same look from the hallway. From a glass. The part of him that didn't wear a suit. That knelt beside his son and fixed things with hands that had built an empire and broken it all at once. I'm not a good man, he said. No, Lana said. But you're not the man they told me you were. And that was enough for now. The breach didn't come through her. That was the cruelest part. It came through a name she didn't even remember copying, a contact on a vendor spreadsheet buried 6 weeks deep in her desktop trash. And suddenly, the SEC was knocking. Not literally, but loud enough that legal counsel showed up before breakfast. PR scrambled to draft a holding statement. 3 directors locked themselves in a back room. And Logan Creed? He stood in the center of it all, unreadable, stone-faced, except when they brought up her name. Then he cracked. It started at 7:14 a.m. An internal server flag triggered a lockdown. By 8:02, every employee's clearance was reset. By 9:30, 3 agents arrived, not with badges but worse, subpoenas. Lana had just stepped out of the elevator when she felt it. The atmosphere was wrong. Phones weren't ringing. People weren't moving. Dana saw her, stood up fast. Don't go in there. Why? He knows. Lana froze. Dana looked like she hadn't slept. They're questioning him now. He asked for privacy. Lana's pulse hammered. This wasn't how it was supposed to happen. She was supposed to deliver the intel clean, a strategic flaw, a shadow leak, something abstract. Not this. Not public blood. Not an investigation that could take his son away. She moved anyway. Down the hall. Through the tension. To the corner office. She didn't knock. Logan was alone. Standing by the window again, tied his scarred jaw tight. He didn't look at her. They used you. His voice was quiet. Deadly. I know. They didn't just want cracks. They wanted an implosion. I didn't give it to them. Doesn't matter, he said. They used your path in. Your login. Your access logs. Lana stepped forward. I can fix this. He turned. His eyes were bloodshot. Not from rage. From everything else. No, Lana. You can't. Her voice trembled. I didn't know they'd go this far. I never would have. Stop. She froze. Then, let me testify. Let me give them the real trail. I know where it came from. I can prove I didn't give it to them. He didn't move. You think that matters? He said. They don't care. The headlines are already written. She stepped closer. Then let me help you rewrite them. Logan laughed once, not from humor. From heartbreak. Why? And there it was. The question. The one that mattered. I came here to destroy you, she whispered. But somewhere between your son's smile and your silence when I told the truth, I stopped wanting to see you fall. A beat. I don't know what I want anymore. Miles knocked 5 minutes later. Small hand. Big eyes. Dana stood behind him, unsure if it was safe to let him in. Logan looked at Lana. Said nothing, but didn't stop it. Miles stepped inside. Held out the robot again. The one she'd fixed weeks ago. It's not blinking anymore, he said softly. Lana knelt, took it, checked the wiring. It needs a new battery. Miles nodded, then looked at his father. Are you mad at her? The question landed in the room like a grenade. Logan crouched, put a hand on his son's shoulder. I was, but not anymore. I'm trying not to be. Miles looked at Lana. Sometimes Daddy says sorry with pancakes. Lana's laugh cracked into a tear. I'll bring syrup, she said. That night, she wrote the report they never expected. She sent every line of the real breach. Not Creed's mistake, the firm that hired her. Every step they took. Every back door she never opened. She didn't care what it cost her. She didn't ask Logan for protection. She just told the truth. Because when someone holds your name in their silence, the least you can do is give them back their future. 3 weeks later, Creed Technologies was cleared. Not by miracle, by truth. The investigation unraveled fast once the real evidence dropped. The subpoenas vanished. The headlines shrank. Stock dipped, then recovered, stronger than before. Because the man they tried to dismantle didn't flinch, didn't hide. He held his ground. And when asked why he didn't sue the woman who brought the fire to his front door, he said 5 words. Because she didn't walk away. Lana Merrick didn't take another assignment. Not right away. She spent 2 weeks off-grid. No coms, no files, no aliases. Just her a beach and a robot Miles had given her. Now blinking again after she rewired it in a moment of grace. She thought about quitting everything, starting over, becoming no one. But the truth was, she wasn't no one anymore. She was someone who had stood in front of the man she was sent to destroy and handed him back his name. When she returned to Boston, there was a letter waiting. No return address, just her name. Inside, a plane ticket. One way. Destination, Denver. And a note. Pancakes. Saturday morning. Syrup not optional. LEM. Her fingers trembled. She didn't smile right away, but she folded the note, packed a small bag, and left before sunrise. The cabin was quiet when she arrived. Snow on the deck. Light in the kitchen. And then, the door creaked open. Miles was the first to see her. He didn't shout. He didn't run. He just walked up, hugged her waist, and whispered, "Took you long enough." She crouched, kissed his hair. "I got lost." He nodded like he understood things most adults didn't. Logan stepped into the doorway, sleeves rolled, expression unreadable. "You forgot syrup," he said. She held up the bottle in her hand. He blinked, then smiled. Small, quiet, but real. "Stay," he asked. She didn't answer right away. Instead, she set the bottle down, took off her coat, and said, "If I do, I'm not going back to who I was." He nodded. "Good." And just like that, she wasn't the woman who burned bridges. She was the one who crossed one and finally stopped running.